name is Jane Abate, and I hope you'll call me my mentor, Jane. If you're watching this video, you may be feeling stuck, thinking you should be someone you're not, or that life should be different than it is. Being stuck is like quicksand. The more you try to get out, the deeper you sink. Or maybe you're in the midst of a career or personal setback, and shame, grief, anger, even fear are overwhelming you. I'm convinced that no career setback, relationship problem, emotional or health challenge, or simply feeling stuck or lost has to derail you. Now, maybe that's not you. You've been promoted or got the job you wanted. You're in a new relationship or got married. You want to start your own business. If you're stepping up to something new, you don't have to worry and strive for it. A good life is supposed to be good, and we can enjoy it. I have one key goal for this video: to explain 5 paths that point you and keep you in the direction of a good life, even in the midst of mistakes, missteps, mistreatment by others. Following these paths help you break through self-imposed limitations, bad habits like procrastination and perfectionism. As your mentor, I will equip you to finally step out of that soul-sucking role of rescuer of every living creature on earth. I've followed these 5 paths to make the most of my one and only, quickly flying by life, and I recommend you do too. So let me get started and explain the 5 paths. What if you could create a life with a worthwhile purpose where you experience freedom, peace, and joy? That's the mindset you need to begin the first path: create the future. It starts with 2 very simple, but maybe not easy questions. What do I want to do with my life? And who do I want to be? As a leader, business owner, mentor, and coach, I know we may be clearer about what we don't want, or describe who we think we should be, or what we ought to do with our life. But that's not good enough. You're an adult. This is your life, and you are responsible for and entitled to set the direction of your life, no matter what or who happened to you. You may be thinking, okay, look, Jane, if I knew what I wanted, I wouldn't be listening to you. I don't have a clue what I want. I hear that a lot. That's okay. Start where you have a clue. Start with what you don't want. Let's use an example of your job. What are 2 things you don't like and want to change? You can pause right now and think about it. You might say, I don't want a long commute sitting in traffic. And this job is so boring. All I do is produce spreadsheets. Okay, if you didn't have that, what would you have? You can decide you want to work from home 2 to 3 days a week. You don't want to drive into the city. And I'd be able to present the spreadsheets and interact with the people in the departments rather than just crunch numbers. That's how you get started. Take a piece of paper or on your tablet and create 2 columns. In one column are the things you know you do want. In another column, write down what you don't want. And ask yourself, if I didn't have what I don't want, what would I have? Then write that in the do column. If you want to recover from a relationship breakup, what does that even look like? If you didn't have the drama and pain, what would you have? If you've been asked to step up in some way, if you didn't have anxiety and fear, how would you handle yourself? And who would help you? Here's the bottom line. If a good life is your goal, the odds of hitting the target go up dramatically when you aim at it. It's so important to get clear on what you want in the most important aspects of life. If you don't listen to another one of my videos, and I sure hope you do, hear me. Take a step on this path and create the future by getting clear about what you want. In future videos, I'll mentor you in much greater detail on what you do then. Let's move on. Someone said, Time is your most valuable asset. The second path to a good life teaches you to reframe your life to your advantage. What does that mean? Reframing is a different way to look at a situation, problem, person, challenge, or whatever the roadblock is, and change its meaning. In other words, while we can't change a situation, we have total control on how we view the situation. Here's an example. You've started a new job. You were a high performer at the last job, and you're proud of your reputation. This new job is quite a step up and comes with a lot of responsibility. You've worked really hard on your first project, but when you presented it to your boss, he had quite a few changes. This sends you into a bit of a tailspin. You're now afraid that you made a mistake, or your boss is going to be really hard to work with. If you hold on to those perspectives and the fear and anger that probably come with it, how will that impact your attitude? And how will your attitude impact your relationship with your boss and your reputation in the new company? What if you reframed that feedback from your boss? What if your boss was being helpful by going over the report with you, rather than staying quiet and making the changes himself? What if this is going to be a great opportunity to learn a lot of new things that will help your career? Any of those perspectives may or may not be true, but what I do know is that if you can interrupt the fear and anger, you're likely to perform much better and have a much better reputation with your boss. Reframing may just be the key to freeing you from an anxious spiral of thoughts that may or may not be true. Being able to expand your perspective about the meaning of things that happen in your life can have a lasting impact on your happiness, your ability to cope with setbacks, and take important steps forward on your journey to a good life. I'm really looking forward to mentoring you on this in future videos. Now, this next path may surprise you. I call this path Grieve and Forgive. Now, let's face it, failure and setbacks hurt. I want to avoid thinking about them, not dwell on them. Let's just move on. My mistakes remind me that I don't measure up, or I didn't try hard enough, or maybe something's wrong with me. I don't want to remember that I hurt someone or face the consequences of my mistakes. It's too painful to remember how someone hurt me, abused me, ignored me, betrayed me. Am I unlovable? Worthless? A fool? Throughout life, it's not a question of if you will fail or if someone will fail you. It's a fact of life. We are human, not superheroes. The path to a good life requires us to bring ourselves out of failure, through hurt, past disappointment, and beyond abuse. Now, you never forget what's happened, but the past can never be your focus because it will cripple your future. A good life is about grieving our losses, moving on, and learning to forgive, especially ourselves. There's so much to this. I'm going to ask you to trust me when we dive into this in detail in future videos. I promise you, facing and grieving the past is perhaps the most important step of freedom. And a free life is a good life. Now, what do these three things have in common? Buying a latte at Starbucks, having a baby, and driving a car in traffic. Yeah, they cost a lot of money, and they all take time. But here's the answer I'm going for. They're all about relationships. Almost everything we do touches a relationship in some way. Think about your day. Whether you're at home or at work, shopping, vacationing, worshiping at church, or doing any one of the many activities you and I do every day, we're constantly involved with people. We even interact with people in our sleep. There is no escaping relationships. Here's what's key. Although we don't have a choice if we will participate in relationships, we can choose how we will participate in relationships. And not just any relationships, what I call right relationships. Right relationships matter a lot. People matter. People make or break us. They either lift us up or pull us down. You either lift someone up or pull them down. Now, what do I mean by a right relationship? I'm talking about genuine, authentic connection that has an overall positive emotional tone. Relationships that help us become the person we were created to be and help us fulfill our purpose. A relationship is something you're in. It's also a life skill. We owe it to ourselves, we owe it to the God who created us, and we owe it to the people we're in relationship with to manage this area of life well. We'll spend a lot of time in future videos building the mindset, behaviors, and habits to build right relationships so that you and those people important to you can have a good life. In case you don't believe right relationships are possible for you, stay tuned to the final word at the end of this video. Now, are you still with me? Let's move on to the next path that leads to a good life. When I think of a good life, I get a sense of wholeness. What visual picture do you get? The definition of wholeness is the fact or the condition of being sound, complete, not wounded or injured or impaired in any way. Wholeness is a state of being perfectly well in body, mind, emotions, and spirit. Wholeness was God's original design for us. Our bodies can be in varying degrees of wellness or state of wholeness. Even if I appear healthy on the outside, my inside can be in turmoil or pain. So the fifth path is practice self-care. Self-care is essential for a good life. It involves making conscious, deliberate choices to look after yourself and your well-being. It includes having good mental health, high life satisfaction, a clear sense of purpose, and the ability to manage stress. I will be mentoring you to develop the habits and behaviors that give you the energy and focus you'll need to create your future and enjoy right relationships. Where are you now with your own self-care? What grade would you give yourself on your general health, your sleep habits, your weight? What about your mind? Is your thinking positive and clear or racing and in turmoil? Are you learning new things, having new experiences? Can you name what you're feeling and control your emotions to achieve your intentions? How would you describe your spiritual life? I believe our inner life affects our outer life, and that having a sense of connection to someone bigger than myself is a source of wisdom, direction, hope, even peace. As a follower of Jesus, my faith is very life-giving to me. Now, this has been a lot to take in, so let me summarize. I want a good life. You want a good life. You may feel stuck and lack a sense of purpose and direction. Or you may be in a season of setbacks where you're confused and hope is hard to find. Maybe this is a season to step up to a challenge that moves you forward in unfamiliar, intimidating, yet exciting ways. The journey of life is usually a combination of all three. What if a good life is possible? That you can get unstuck, recover from a setback, and successfully step up to something better. I've discovered that following 5 paths lead to a good life. First, create the future. Decide what you want and who you want to be. Second, reframe my life. Life is a great teacher. Don't waste a minute of it. Third, grieve and forgive. It's not a healthy life strategy to bypass or ignore failures or hurts. A good life is about getting through, growing up, and moving past our greatest disappointments, releasing their drag on your life. 4, life is about relationships. You get to choose the quality of your relationships and how you act in them. Finally, practice self-care. You need the energy, courage, and hope to embrace the future you're creating. So what's your next step? There isn't one right or best step, but here are some ideas. You can work on your I want list and get clear on the future you want to create. You can download a free self-assessment of the 5 paths to a good life below or from my website. You can build new skills and make progress by following my channel for more tools and tips that lead to a good life. And finally, you can share my video with others who are in the midst of a setback or a step up. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for the final word. Who said life is supposed to be good? You know, there are over 100,000 books about good life on Amazon, and there were over 8 billion entries when I Googled how to have a good life. I've taken dozens of classes and webinars to coach others to find that good life. But I don't trust or rely on current trends or psychobabble to lead my life. I choose to trust the wisdom of someone who knows all about life because he created it. He's my best friend, he comforts me when I'm down, and he's there for me no matter what. I follow Jesus. Some people say Jesus was just a great teacher or prophet. Others say he was a good man who did good things. Some people think he was a liar, a crazy man, or that he doesn't exist at all. What I believe is that Jesus is God and that he sacrificed his life for mine. I know he has great plans for me, and I trust he will provide everything I need on my journey to a good life. Jesus is my #1 right relationship, and spending time with him is my most important step in self-care. Why do I believe all this? Because Jesus said, I have come to give you everything in abundance, more than you can expect, life in its fullness until you overflow. Now, in the original Greek, this meant a life beyond anticipation, not just what's absolutely essential to life. It's life with superadded things that lead to wholeness and joy. Even a setback doesn't have to define or limit your life. You were created for a reason, and God has all kinds of great step-ups in store for you. These challenges will lead to more learning and growth, but he doesn't intend for you to stress and strain, and you don't have to do life without him. Know this. Jesus is concerned about the quality of your life. He intends it to be good. He is an exceeding, beyond your expectations, extremely generous giving God. He knows how to satisfy what you need when you're stuck, in the midst of a heartbreaking setback, or when you're stepping up and moving forward. Remember, Jesus promised, I have come to give you everything in abundance, more than you expect, life in its fullness until you overflow. And that's the final word.